to the Orion Amateur Series 2022, Episode 1. We are back for another season. Admittedly, we are a little bit behind, so we're cramming episodes in as many as possible over the next 2 weeks. But super excited to get the Orion Amateur Series going again. And our first guest, we are joined by former Moses Brown star, Harry Dessel. Harry, has it set in yet that you're not going back to high school? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I get still a little sad I'm not going back to high school. I really had fun in high school, so yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I'm excited for college.
We'll get to that in a second, as you committed to Division I Lafayette next year to play golf, starting in the fall. So that's super exciting. But let's talk about high school for a second. We obviously cover the high school season as good as anybody in the state at GolfNewsRI. I thought it lived up to the hype. I said going into it, I thought it was going to be one of the most fascinating high school seasons in recent history, just because of so many great teams and so many teams had a chance to win it. You guys, obviously LaSalle was the favorite and they won it, but Hendricken is obviously always a factor, and EG. And then you had teams like Barrington that are making kind of late runs, and a couple of other teams that are also in the mix. For you, as someone that was in it and a huge factor on your team that, you know, had a great season as well, and you had a great season individually, did you find it to be one of the most interesting seasons or fascinating seasons that you've been a part of, just from the team aspect of it?
Yeah, I definitely was a interesting season. I thought it was obviously LaSalle was probably the top team, and then if we played well, I thought we could compete with them. And there's a few other teams like Barrington, and you said that I thought could probably do it too. And in all the tournaments throughout the year, it wasn't like one team was just dominating, so it was kind of up in the air going to the state championship.
Yeah, I thought the state championship was obviously fascinating in and of itself, with obviously LaSalle winning and Max Jackson winning. You've gone against Max Jackson a handful of times. You guys have had your share of battles, and obviously he's going to be is a great player already, and he obviously has a chance to really be something special, it looks like, going forward. But from your perspective, and obviously you guys have traded victories over each other. Last year in the junior AM, you guys had a great match, and this year you guys played in the same group in the high school state championship. But what are those battles like? What is that rivalry like? A friendly rivalry, of course, but what is that rivalry like?
Yeah, Max is a really good kid, so I don't have anything against him. We play kind of similar. We don't really, neither of us like bomb it. We kind of hit the same distance, and we kind of play the same shots. And yeah, it's fun playing against him because I know he's always going to play well. He never has like a really bad day, so I know I always got to play solid to keep up with him.
Yeah, it's obviously a great. It's fun to see you guys go back and forth, and I'm sure those battles will continue over the years. But you're not going back to high school, like you said, and like I mentioned, you committed to Lafayette next year to play golf, Division I. I've been saying you're about I want to say the 10th, or you're one of about 10 Rhode Islanders to commit to a Division I school over the last handful of years, ever since Will Dixon did it. And I think 2015, he committed to Georgia Tech in his sophomore year. Since then, there's been 10 Rhode Islanders going to D1 schools. Patrick Walsh, obviously Oklahoma, Davis Chatfield at Notre Dame, yourself at Lafayette, Morgan McLeod is going to Bayview. And I know there's a handful of others. I don't need to go through the list, but talk about your decision to go to Lafayette. How exciting was that? And talk about that whole process of committing to a school.
Yeah, the recruiting process is really tough, and I didn't realize just how hard it was. But I was glad I found a good spot at Lafayette, and I think it's a good spot for me because I'm going to be able to play my freshman year a lot, which will be good. I know not a lot of kids can be able to play their freshman year at big schools, so I'm glad I can start playing early.
You said the recruiting process was tough. What was tough about it, or what surprised you about it? As someone for me who's never going to ever go through a recruiting process, but what was tough about it? What surprised you about it?
Like a few other schools I was talking to, they seem interested, and then all of a sudden they just ghost you, and then you don't hear from them again until a few weeks later they say, yeah, we're full. So that happened a lot, and that was really frustrating, but I'm glad I found a spot that wanted me.
Interesting. So Division One, like I said, you're about one of about 10 Rhode Islanders to commit to the Division One school over the last few years to play golf. From your perspective, what is it? Why is Rhode Island now kind of going through the stretch of great players committing to Division One schools? So it is a big deal to go to Division One school. And no offense to people that are going to Division Two or Division Three schools, obviously that's great as well, and we cover them and those commitments as well. But it is a big deal to commit to a Division One school for golf out of Rhode Island, out of all places. It's not like we're in Florida where they
Yeah.
all commit to Division One schools. But what is it about this recent stretch you think, from starting with Will to now yourself, and I'm sure others after you will be going to Division One schools, I would like to think. So what do you think it is? Why this great stretch for Rhode Island high schoolers?
Um, I don't know. It's tough to say. I feel like it's kind of surprising that we have so many really good players that come out of Rhode Island. I really don't know if there's like a sort of formula for it. Maybe the Challenge Cup probably helps that we have such good tournaments around us, but I really don't know. I guess it just happened.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where before Will, nobody really committed to Division One school. It wasn't really a thing coming out of Rhode Island. I mean, probably since Faxon and Andrade.
Yeah.
Billy Andrade went to Wake Forest. Faxon went to Furman. I'm not even sure if Furman was Division One at the time. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're Division One even now. But after them, it was kind of like a lull, and then all of a sudden, recently, there's just been this crazy stretch of kids going to Division One schools to play golf. So obviously, it's a lot of fun. It's just a cool thing to think that okay, you can play golf in Rhode Island and get to a Division One school. You don't have to. Obviously, you've played all over the region and in some respects the country over the years. So that obviously helps. You have to get out of state and play, but it's just an interesting statistic as the numbers continue to rise in that category. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts on it, but yeah, it's interesting. It's obviously a great thing. You mentioned the Challenge Cup, obviously big deal. Most recently, earlier this month, you won the Amateur Invitational at New England Country Club. Huge victory for you. Talk about that, and obviously you played very well, but just talk about winning that tournament and how that can jumpstart your summer.
Yeah, I thought it was really big that I won that tournament. There was a really good field, and I was playing with Matt Parziali on the second day, which obviously he's
Yep.
really good. So I knew
Yep.
if I could keep up with him, that means I'm playing well, and I did. So gave me a lot of confidence knowing I could be able to beat some of the top players in New England. So yeah, I was very happy I won that.
Matt Parziali, of course, is famous for being the Brockton firefighter that made it to the Masters a bunch of years ago. I think he even played the U.S. Open as well, if I'm not mistaken. I know he won one of the U.S. Either I think it was might have been the Mid-Am.
Yeah, I think it was.
So he's obviously famous for that. So yeah, I mean, you beat him. What was it like to watch him play? Obviously, like you said, he's a great player. He's somewhat famous now just because of his appearance in the Masters and his
Yeah.
story on Golf Channel. But what was it like to be in that atmosphere and play with a guy like that to kind of measure your game against?
Yeah. On the first hole, it was a par five. He had his drive like 310 right down the middle, and then he had like 220 in, hit a long iron perfect to like 15 feet. So I was like, oh, he's gonna be pretty good. So yeah, he's a really good ball striker, and he's a really nice guy too. So it was cool to play with him.
Well, when you play with guys like that, whether it's like Matt Parziali or other people you've played with over the years, even as it relates to amateur, do you find that it raises your game when playing with somebody that's good, that's not going to miss a shot or not going to miss many shots at least? Do you find that raises your game? Because I find, and again, I stink, okay, but I find when I play with people that are better than me, it forces me to focus more. That doesn't mean I'm going to shoot better scores necessarily, although I kind of started those. But I find that I focus more. Is that the same for you at your level? Obviously, we're on different levels of golf, but is that the same for you? Do you find that you focus more when you're playing with, a Matt Parziali or somebody that's obviously clearly a really good player, and even in the RI amateur?
Yeah. So last year in the RI amateur in the stroke play, I played with Bobby Leopold, and obviously he's really good. And that was my best tournament score was in this qualifying last year so far. And like I think a big part was because I was playing with him. He hits mostly right down the middle and hits most screens. So I think just I don't know what it is, but I guess like just watching it, then you do it. It just happens. I guess it is helpful to play with really good players.
Yeah, it's just like one of those mental things. I think it forces you to focus because you don't want to completely embarrass yourself out there when you're
Yeah,
playing with these guys. And obviously, Bobby Leopold ended up winning the RA amateur last year,
yeah,
so you must have obviously you must have been you must have helped him out, give him some tips. Speaking of the amateur, it takes place this year, July 11th to the 15th. This is the RA Amateur Series podcast, so we might as well talk about it. But at Wanumetonomy, I've only played there once. I played there once last year in this in a tournament benefiting the Burke Fund, which I am involved in and try to be involved in a little bit. But it was obviously it was very nice. It was, the scenery was very pretty, the water and so the one positive is the pictures should look great for the RA Amateur this week. But you've played it a couple of times. I know you'll be playing a practice round there, I'm assuming within the next week or two. I actually talked to Ricky and Jelly at the Northeast Amateur. He said you guys were playing a practice round at some point.
yeah.
So what you played there a couple times though. What do you think of Wanumetonomy? What do you how have you played there in the past? And what are you looking forward to the most?
I like that course. Obviously, it's really pretty, especially on some of the back nine holes. Yeah, I think it's not too long, but I know the greens are really, really tough. So it's gonna be a challenge to get used to those greens. And also it can get really windy, which I feel like I play pretty good in the wind, so maybe I hope it does get windy. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I haven't played that course too much, but hopefully I get to know it better. Hopefully I get to play it more and more that week, so I keep on advancing.
When you go play a practice round at a place, especially a place that you're not totally familiar with, like you said, Wanumetonomy, you've played there a few times, but you don't really know it at the back of your hand. When you go play a practice round at these places, what are you looking for in a practice round? What are you looking to get out of it? Other than obviously you want to play well, but what are you looking to get out of a practice round at a place like where you're not totally familiar with?
Um, I guess probably mostly the greens, especially this course because obviously the greens they have. And then like the rest of the course, I feel like I really don't do too much with it because I don't want to see the bad parts of it. I feel like I play better when I don't know the course too much, to be honest.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so just focus on the greens mostly.
I asked over this last year. I thought there were some interesting answers, but obviously our amateur is 2 rounds of stroke play, and then it switches over to match play. For you, who obviously high school is all stroke play, and college, from at least what I've covered of college golf, is mostly a stroke play type event. Although it's a little bit different because it's kind of sort of matches in a way, but when you that switch from a stroke play event to a match play event, does it change something for you? Do you change? I don't know if change strategies is the right phrase, but is there a switch that you have to flip from going to that stroke play qualifying portion to, okay, your match one is against X player X? Is there something that changes for you mentally or even strategy wise?
Yeah, I think mentally it does change a little bit because obviously you're just playing against one other person. You have to beat one other person. And not like your full score doesn't count. So you can have a really bad hole and it will only be one shot difference. Um, so yeah, I think it is different, and I feel like it's a whole different kind of way you play too, because you're playing against the other person. You're not playing against the course really.
Yeah, I would tend. I mean, again, I stink, but I would tend to agree. I think match play is more fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think so too.
more fun than the stroke play. I think the stroke play is probably more stressful because you obviously have to qualify. You have to get inside a certain number, whatever that number is, and then once you play the matches, I just have to beat this one guy. And like you said, if you have a bad hole, you can just pick up and he wins the hole, but there's 17 more holes to go, or there's
Yeah,
whatever number there are holes left. So I think match play is more fun. I wish like colleges and high schools would go back to a match play format. High school used to be match play back in the day, and they switched whatever it was to stroke play. But I wish they would go back to more match play because I just think it's more fascinating to watch. than trying to track stroke play. So RI Amateur July 11th to the 15th at Wanumetonomy. Talking with Harry Dessel here, episode 1 of the RI Amateur Series podcast 2022. So what else do you have going on this summer other than obviously the RI Amateur? Obviously, you just came off a big victory at the Amateur Invitational. What else is going on for you this summer before you head off to college break and people find you? What are you playing in? Are you playing any events around here or relatively nearby? What do you have going on the rest of the summer golf-wise?
I got the World Series tomorrow, which is at Triggs. So
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. That's a great
that's a
event.
good tournament. The USAM qualifier at Valley. That'd be a big one to qualify for. New England Am at Alpine this year, which is nice. I feel like I play pretty good there.
We'll be there.
The stroke play, obviously. And then in August, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Get ready for college, I guess, in August.
Get ready for college in August. Are you taking your game on the road anywhere, or are you staying local this summer? So I know last year I think you played down in Pinehurst.
Yeah.
I think you were a couple of Rhode Islanders that went. I think the Papa sisters, or at least one of them played. You were there. Are you playing Pinehurst? Are you doing any kind of big amateur events like that?
Those and like the AJGAs, those are more for like recruiting stuff. So I don't really want to play in those this year because there's not really a point. Hopefully I get to go to New Jersey for the US Amateur. But besides that, I think I'll stay around New England this summer.
Awesome. So if you want to check out Harry Dessel playing golf, you can find him at all those events, and GolfNewsRI, of course, will provide coverage of most of those events, if not all of them, with the New England Amateur at Alpine and obviously USM qualifying at Valley. Crazy summer of golf in New England. You have the US Open at Brookline. You have obviously the Northeast Amateur. You have obviously the Ride Amateur at Wanumetonomy. Then you have the New England Amateur at Alpine. Yeah. It's been it's kind of a crazy summer of golf in New England and in Rhode Island. So it's pretty cool to have all these events kind of lined up, back to back. And then of course the Junior Am is being played at 3 different golf courses this year. So sprinkling the love to everybody, I guess. So but Harry, good luck to you in the Ride Amateur, but obviously we'll talk to you throughout the summer at different points, and make sure you keep us posted as to where you are and how you're doing. And obviously we'll follow you right through college like we do for everybody else. So thanks for coming on the RI Amateur Series podcast, and hopefully we'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's Harry Dessel. This is the RI Amateur Series podcast.